How you doing, YouTube? Welcome to the wonderful world of Pops Howie. Pops Howard, Pops Ranch, Pops Ranch 2. Me, right. Just got through cutting up a couple of trees today. Had to stop in the middle to come home and take care of a problem, etc., etc. Then get back out and load the trailer. Took down a couple trees. Took the one down. It was a 20-incher, and I looked at Bill. Darn it! I missed. He told me to hit the sign. He started laughing. He told me to hit the sign. That's underground buried cable. The sign is here. The two cables are on either side of a ditch 10 feet away. So that sign aggravates me. Well, I was aiming and missed, and I took a look, and what had actually happened, my aim was right, but he hit a skid steer with a wet bale of hay, because he bales his wet. Silage bales, hay. They call it wet, but you know what I mean. And he was leaning against the tree, and I cut all the way back through it, and didn't do anything, so I had him give a push. Well, his push was a completely dead, starting to half punked up tree. Not completely. It was on its way there. And he gave a shove, and it wasn't exactly in the direction that I had notched. So it broke stuff off. I missed the sign by less than a foot. And it landed dead in the ditch where I wanted it to. Bill's ditch, not the ditch that isn't supposed to be a ditch, where the power lines are, where the lines are exposed. Underground buried cable. Well, it may be underground surface, but it ain't buried. I can see a 20-foot section there. Man, you should see this. Snow coming down all through, clouds covering the sun. The sun's bright as can be, shining through the clouds, diffusing all over, but it's reflecting. Anywhere left and right from the sun, about a half a mile to a mile, is dark almost and gray. So it's one of those beautiful things that you don't see unless you're in the northern tier of the U.S. Constant light snow. So anyway, I want to talk about saw chains, bars, and that kind of stuff, just because I've been running it today. First off, I want to talk about bar oil that you use in your oiler and the chainsaw. Okay, now I'm going to do something that people don't like to hear, and I'm going to say it flat out. You're a complete idiotic fool if you're not running actual bar and chain oil. I know there's a bunch of you out there that are going to say, no, it doesn't make any difference. You're an idiot. You're a complete dolt. You're stupid. Now, if that's what you want to do, that's your problem. Frankly, I don't care on that part. But on the other hand, I don't care if you're a homeowner or what you are. You just don't want to carry around the extra bar oil. I mean, buy it in quarts. Quarts are horrendously expensive, so buy something that you can carry on. In the back here, I have a Powerade bottle that I put it in. It has a bigger cap to make it easier to fill, but it's not so big that it's a problem to pour out. In the back, I have a ketchup. I think it's a Hunt's ketchup squeeze bottle. The Dawn dish soap thing is too tight. Doesn't work well at all. But the ketchup bottle works pretty good. The only problem I have there is it's small. Well, I use it because it is small, and it's in the truck toolbox on the front end of the trailer, I should say. So that works out good when I'm out in the field, because I take two, sometimes three chainsaws, make sure I fill them up before I go. So the only reason I use that is if I need to use one saw for more than one tankful, which is pretty rare, but it happens, and hard to do when you don't have something to fill it up. It has to be handy. Most of the time when you're a homeowner and you're out in the woods burning stuff, burning wood, I mean, and cutting wood for it. If you go up with your a quart of gas and a pint of chainsaw bar oil, you're good. I mean, that's usually more than enough each trip. The only thing is, when you use it, you have to remember to fill it. But dang, is it handy. The little squirt bottle is great because you don't overfill. The little Powerade bottle works great because you can see better than hanging onto a big bottle. You have better control. It's just nicer. I've been doing stuff like that for years, and then when I was online looking at West Coast Saw, and Marty actually ties paracord to his bottles and hangs them off his belt. And one of them is, and they're that type of bottle, a Powerade and such, that similar polystyrene or whatever they want to call it, clear plastic bottle, and one has fuel mix in it and the other one has bar oil. And he's running a 500i. Not all the time though. He has a 462 that's juiced. So I've been told that until the 500i is broke in, a good 462 will keep up with it, and then they juice them. I mean, poured and polished. Anyway, I got to pull in the driveway here, and I'll leave it. I'll start over with this one. Going back to the chainsaw bar and chain, the bar oil is my biggest concern. It's just the amount of extra power it takes, the amount of extra wear in the chain. It's a fool's errand. Otherwise, I mean, literally, it's just nuts. I've seen the damage. I've been working on this stuff for 45 years. I mean, you're kidding. You can't kid a kidder, so they say. But the biggest thing is, it's ridiculous. What's it do? Well, it wears the bar rails, and if you get the, and there's a lot of times, I had it today with my 250. I tagged the ground, or no, I didn't even tag the ground. I was cutting up wood that was on a driveway berm where a guy had plowed his driveway, Bill did, and there was a berm on the side. And I had wood sitting on top of that little berm, thinking, no big deal, cut into it. All of a sudden, saw it didn't feel right. So I pulled out my little preferred, the file card that has the square raker file in the middle and two round files left and right. I pulled that out and filed the chain, and because it didn't look bad at all, but a couple of them looked like the top plate cutting edge had a whoopee in it. So I cleaned them up, spun that thing around, and was cutting like a mad dog again. But one side was cutting a little more than the other. And you'll find in a lot of cases, when they start going dull, it is one side over the other. I'm going to say 2/3 to 3/4 of the time, that's how it ends up being. Or when you come out, your saw tips, the log tips, and you end up in dirt somewhere. And every time you hit the dirt, it dulls. Every time. Well, in this case, it was a snow berm, which is kind of funny. Anyway, now, because one side was worse than the other, because of that, even though it was in what I thought was relatively clean snow, now, if you keep cutting with it, because it would, if I gave it just a little push, right through, just as if it was sharp, one side of the bar will wear more than the other. Now, my bar has a burn spot in it, and I can't remember what it was from, but I think it was dull, and it didn't have anything to sharpen it. It was the only saw I had, so I was trying to finish the job, and I did, but it wasn't worth it. Should have gone back down, and I didn't have a spare chain. In fact, I had the wrong chain, so I ended up filing it, etc., etc. But one side's going to wear more than the other on the bar. The links on the chain that ride on the bar, one side's going to wear more than the other. Now, put in anything else, and the stupid thing is, most of the guys that don't use bar and chain oil are stupid, ignorant, and I mean belligerently ignorant, jackasses that put in used motor oil. Well, it's out of my car, it's cleaner, it's not like it's out of a diesel. It doesn't belong there! Duh! So then it really exacerbates the situation. Worse, there's metal particles in the stuff. Hello? And they're not liquid. So that makes it even worse. So now you've got chain wear, you have bar wear, and what does that do? Well, it's running around that sprocket in the front. You've got that crap in there, oil with metal in it. Now what? And while it's doing that, your clutch is working harder. your chainsaw is running hotter, especially in the summer. That's when it really makes a difference. So you keep going through this, and there was something I learned years ago that's as true today as any other time, because people don't know how to sharpen chains. The 45 years I've been monkeying around with this stuff, plus nobody knows how to sharpen chains with the files, with all the little tools and such. The guy brought me 6 chains the other day or months ago, and 4 of them were destroyed. I managed to get a cutting edge on them so they would be usable, but they were destroyed because they ran them dull multiple times. They ran the file wrong. You've got your C in your tooth, right? Well, they kept filing into the C, and the file kept going down through this material here out the back and never touched the top plate. Had a nice sharp side plate that kept going down. I mean, bar and chain oil doesn't fix that, but it makes it a lot better. You screwed up sharpening. Run bar and chain oil. The bar and the chain will last twice as long. It's designed for the heat, the speed. It has clinging properties to it. One of the ways you know you got bar and chain oil, just put some between your fingers and you just open it up a little bit. You'll start to see strings. That, and it has moly in there, liquid moly, than most of it. And it's not designed for engine heat, but it is designed for the temperatures of the bar and the chain, etc. So that's one I don't understand because it affects everything. But there again, that's me. The other one is it affects us when the bar is off, the chain is off, and you know they're starting to run crooked. One side of the chain takes more stress than the other. And if you're sharpening improperly, that makes it even worse. But you're going to cut, you can have it sharp perfectly. You wear off the side strap of the chain. That's what it rides on, the chain, the side straps. The drivers are just for the clutch to run. And that tilts. You can sharpen your chain perfectly. But if you hand file it, one side's going to be different than the other. Enough different to often walk. And you already have a natural problem that if you aren't handling your saw properly, the power head's hanging off to one side of the chain, which is normal. That's the way it goes. But if you're not careful, the power head will do this, then you'll go down through with a natural slow curve anyway. Doesn't affect much, but it's something that you got to be mindful of. So that's my main gripe. And people don't seem to care or pay attention to it. In fact, when I worked at J.P. Riley, what's his name there? Jason or whatever his name was, he griped about me complaining about it. He said, we just use oil, they don't care. And I said, well, you're wondering why your saws are breaking down all over and you need more bar and chain. He said, I got an idea why. It's not that big a deal. And I said, yeah, it is. If you're out there and you run out of bar and chain oil, don't care. That, we'll live with it. But I said, other than that, are you serious? And unfortunately, he was. Didn't matter to him. As long as the job got done, it didn't matter what else it cost until the cost started getting quite high. I set it up so he could make chains. Well, he could buy a 100-foot roll and make chains there because he had to pay me or somebody else to do it. They could do it for half or less. I mean, make the chains up, hang them on the wall so the crews can come in and take them and then throw them over here on the table when they're dull. I had a regular old cycle. I changed 2 of the saws so they had the exact same chain as all the other. Made it easy. Hung the bar and the chain next to each other. The funny part is that's not what Jay wanted. He was griping. Well, that's not chain that was on there. Now they're running the wrong chain. I said, no, they're running different chain. I said, we used to do this all the time. It's not that. Yeah, whatever. I said, what difference does it make? He said, what do you mean what difference does it make? They're running the wrong chain. No, they're running a chain that's just fine. I said, they aren't using bar and chain oil anyway, so what difference does it make? All right, well, I got to get myself inside. All right, let me make sure where my keys are. I thought I was going to be able to shoot a squirrel today. Oh, there was a big one, but I was headed down around. So, the day is getting over. I think now it's almost 4 o'clock. It is, 3 after 4. I got to get myself in, got to finish my coffee, Get in the house before the dogs go ballistic. They love it when we're home together, and they do not like Debbie being home without me anymore. That's a fun thing. Now, since I've run the two saws, two things I'm going to have to do here shortly. Sharpen them, but I need to build some way to hold the saw so I can sharpen it better. That's my next thing. Just something when I'm out in the field or in the road that I can either connect to the trailer or something. Because if I can hold the bar in the right position, you can file it and do a nice smooth job. You don't even have to push hard. Alright, time to go, because I got a lot of stuff to take in, and yeah, I got a lot of stuff to take in. I was trying to get ready for today, and I did. I had more stuff than I needed and used some of it. Catch you later. You folks be good. And remember, yes, I'm being caustic and angry and divisive, so to speak, but I'm trying to get you guys to listen, and some people don't unless it's important enough for some people to get a little bit hot about it. I don't know why. The other one is when you're buying mix oil, there's probably only two off brands that I would trust. One is Optilube in Oregon, whoever the parent company, Blount Industries, I think. I think they bought out the old Optimal and Optilube, and now they have their luber, whatever they call it. Optilube, is it, or is it something? I don't know. You'll have to look. That stuff used to have what they called a surface conditioning. I don't know what the deal is, but anyway, it has something fancy in it. I ran my 038 steel, and when it was hot, it ran cooler. The only thing that did as well is either steel synthetic or the AMSOIL. Not the old AMSOIL, the newer AMSOIL. They do have something for air cooled, because a lot of guys in snowmobiles were seriously disappointed with AMSOIL. They had a lot of them that went out and they cooked them because it didn't lubricate. It couldn't handle the heat of the snowmobile, the air cooled in particular. So, and then they claimed that the water cooled stuff ran so cold that it would coke it up. Now, when I ran AMSOIL that I had in the chainsaws, stuff worked beautiful. Clean, unbelievably clean. Now I'm almost 100% steel synthetic. That's the only stuff I love to run, and it makes if you're familiar with your saw and you run it enough, it makes a noticeable difference in temperature. It sounds slightly different. It's not a major thing, but it is different. What's the deal with synthetic? Not a lot, except supposedly they think they're down to the molecular level. On your standard conventional oils, they only go so far. The molecule sizes of the oil itself are different, and it's nothing critical. But for the synthetic, they get as many of them as possible that are all of the same size, shape, etc. And when they do, your oil film, even though it's thinner, it's kind of like the guy that breaks a block of concrete on his chest laying on a bed of nails. The bed of nails are 1/4 of an inch apart for a reason. More support. And the same thing happens when you're talking with synthetic oil and the molecules. That film has more support because it's consistent throughout. That's the theory. It seems to work, though. Anyway, those are the things that I think about with all of it, is proper sharpening so you don't have to do any bar maintenance. Proper bar and chain oil, so you don't have to do any bar maintenance unless you do something stupid. And then your engine oil, your mix oil, makes a huge difference. You can use your Echo, Husqvarna, Steel. Any of them get the synthetic. And then there's the Optilube and the AMSOIL. Those are the stuff I'd recommend. But for me, it's the steel. If you're a Husky guy, buy the Husky. It's worth it. And the Echo, buy the Echo. It's worth it. And at one point in time, all three were the exact same mix oil. That's back 40 years ago, but they were all exactly the same. Running 40 to 1. Gotta go. You folks have a good day. This is Pops signing off. Let's see, I gotta hit the X.